Hey everybody, welcome to Ellis Mowers. I appreciate y'all watching. If you want to reach out to me about anything, everything reference-wise to all my social media accounts and whatnot, it's on ellismowers.com, including email, Facebook, and Instagram, and also right below on the page in the description below here on this YouTube video. So, we're going to start on this Cub Cadet, you know, like zero turns, like riding mowers. I started with 2 and then they started multiplying. It's like breeding, what is it? Breeding like rabbits is the phrase that a lot of people use. Got this on a trade for the Troy built Mustang 50-inch zero turn, and got another Cub Cadet and some cash and a tiller and a push mower. But regardless, this one right here runs, drives, cuts, pretty much does everything you need it to for a lawnmower. We have a couple of small things to figure out with it though. The biggest one is that it's running rich, and it almost seems like that the engine is running too fast. So we'll see what we get into on this mower. First order of business, it's cool. The engine is cold, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on the carburetor to see if we can get it to stop running rich. Let's get started. Alright, so I don't know if I gave you all a proper introduction to this mower. It's a Cub Cadet zero turn. It's an older one. I think it's from like late 90s, early 2000s according to the engine, as long as it's the original engine on this. And looking at the model number, I think it is. They called it a Z-Force turn rider. This thing looks a little bit better built than a lot of the stuff that they make today. Zero turn, like residential grade. I'll give you all a gander at the model number. So this guy's done some safety switch finagling with this thing, which I'm not too pleased with, but it is what it is, I guess. I gotta lower the deck to give you all the model number. But it's got I think it's a 20 horsepower Briggs on it. V-twin. I'll show you all the model number for that here right now. So it's a, whoop, I gotta go this way. Can't read backwards. It's a 407777. Date code's 991109. So it's a 99. I think everything is pretty consistent with that. There's your model number. Factory number is what you're looking for. 53AA5A6L712. This mower seems to have has a Toro seat on it. So. And a little bit of wiring awesomeness done right here. But it does start, run, drive, cut. Just runs a little rich, and so you know that's not the engine itself. It's got one of those twin barrel Nicky carburetors on it. Watch the Terrell Fixes All video where he had one that was running rich, and it actually ended up being, there's a gasket inside the carburetor. I've got a couple of V-twin carbs here. I'm going to see if they work before I go through trying to fix that gasket. Hopefully I can do the intake and everything and just take it all off. We'll see. Because I've got a junk 22 horsepower out there that came off of a Craftsman that's a little bit newer that I can probably get running. Regardless, I believe this originally was supposed to have a 44-inch deck on it. This thing's got I believe it's got a 48-inch now. It has been replaced. As you can see, I think it's supposed to be yellow. And it is now black. And it was red. So it tells me that somebody put a deck on this. Ours, don't even have a clue. The hour meter doesn't work anymore. But it like I said, runs, drives, cuts like it not like it needs to, but everything operates like it should, except for it running rich. I would run it for y'all, but I don't want to be messing around a hot muffler and stuff. So let me grab the tools that I need, and I'll go ahead and take this engine cover off of the mower, which involves taking these 5/16 inch off, these 2 nuts right here to get the air filter. And I want to show you that the air filter, I tried to run it with and without the air filter just to see if I had any issues that I could make better on it. and none of them fixed what I had going on. So leads me to believe it's not an air filter issue. The air filter is not in terrible shape, and it's one of them paper element ones too instead of a fabric element one. Probably can just knock that out and get by with it. Pre-cleaner's actually in decent shape too. So guy I got it from seemed to have taken care of this pretty well, which is good. And like I said, we'll go ahead and get started. I gotta work on getting this carburetor off because it's a little bit complicated. So let's go ahead and do it. All right, y'all. I got a little bit ahead. Things that y'all could probably do on your own. Took the cover off, which is just a few 3/8 bolts. You don't even have to take them all the way off. You can just kind of pull them off halfway, and that gets the whole engine cover off. Then you have the 5/16 that got this off. You have to take this off before you get the engine cover off. And then we have good access to this. One other thing that I have done is I took a 5/16 and took the throttle cable off, and then I took 2 more 5/16 inch bolts, and that took what choke linkage that attached to this intake. I took that off too. So now we've gotten to this point, and now what I think I've got to do, I think the best way to go about this is to just take it off right here at this, just right at the intake. So that's what I'm doing now. So I'm just going to take these intake bolts off. Take the intake bolts off each side. I haven't really worked on a lot of V-twins, so. Whoop. I'll get that in a sec. Number 4 down here. A little bit of oil in that one. At least the gaskets came off cleanly. Okay, so this is the whole shebang right here. So the biggest thing I'm going to fight right now is this throttle cable linkage, which I'm just pulling the throttle cable up. I just took the linkage off, and now we have, what else do we have holding this thing on? Choke linkage? Something's holding it on. Stand by. What have we got here? Oh, just the tube. Just a little intake tube. So that just took the whole thing off. Easy squeezy. Linkages and all. Just like that. So I remember that being a lot harder on another mower. I figure out where the governor is on this thing too. But what I'm going to do, I'll show you what I'm going to do. Is that just an external governor on this thing? I thought it had an internal governor somewhere. Yeah, right here. Okay. Just doesn't seem like it's governing, if you know what I mean. But here's what I'm going to do. So I've got another V-twin carb out here. I think it's a single barrel. I'm not sure. Off of this lawnmower, the engine's got a hole in the block on one side, so I'm just slowly stripping parts away from this thing as time goes on. And I think, is it a plug and play? I think it might be a plug and play if I change the linkage. No? It might be alright. I'll tell you what, let's take off the air filter real quick, because I got to take off this cover anyways to get to what I want to on this thing. Yeah, this one blew a... So this one right here donated a deck to a Craftsman YS 4500, the red one. And it donated its transmission to a Husqvarna YT, what was a YTA 24V48. Turned it into a YTH. This has got that fabric filter, which I'm not a huge fan of. Pre-filter actually was pretty clean. So I'm essentially going to do the same thing to this mower that I just showed y'all on the Cub Cadet. When I do that, I'm going to make sure all the ports and stuff are clean in the carburetor, so that we don't have any surging issues or anything like that. And then we'll put this one on to that mower in there and see what we got. Alright y'all, I'm back. Hopefully the sun glare isn't too bad. Well, as easy as this was to take off, I almost want to just throw it on there to see if it'll crank and run like it is before I tear it off. Because it came off, this thing came off of a, gosh, that sun glare's bad. Came off of a running lawnmower that was running when it blew up. So, first off, we'll go in the reverse order, I guess, of what we just did. Oh, I see. I think this governor tab's bent up on this thing. That might be why the governor's not coming in like it should. We'll see. First off, I'll hook the linkage up on this side. I know I can't show it to y'all very well, but you can get it on. Without having to take anything off. Linkage. Breather pipe. Get the breather pipe in, and that kind of can give you a little bit of leverage. That way you can get all your stuff situated here so that you can get your intake back on. I was about to say, as little time as it takes for me to take this off, figured I'd just throw it on there and see what happens. Now if this one runs rich too, then I might be like, but I don't think it will. Just hand threading the bolts in. Get them in a few threads, and then I did bring my tools back. Usually I got them things strewed all everywhere. Alright, so we'll throw these intake bolts back in. Be careful with them, they ain't got to be crazy tight. What I like about this tool is it gets them tight, but it won't over tighten them. Perfect. Okay, now I need to replace that fuel line. Now we'll just put the throttle cable and all that stuff back on, which honestly I didn't have to take off in the first place, but I am not going to impact these on. One thing I don't play around with is throttle cables, because if I screw them up, then you're pretty screwed. Alright, I got these to get this in. I just wanted to kind of show you how easy it is to get one of these on. It's really not too bad. Now it is a lot, I mean you got to take the intake off regardless. But if you want to get the intake off of the carburetor, you got to get like a splined nut or something to get that off. Well, I don't know what I did with that throttle. Screwed. Let me figure out that. I just got to put that back on, that throttle screw, and then we should be good to go in terms of, I got to put a fuel line on it. I'll do those real quick, and then I'll see if we can start this thing up and see what the heck happens with it. Alright, y'all, got it all together, and so I'm just curious to see how it runs now, if we got rid of the rich problem or not. Guess they call it rich because you're going to spend a fortune on it, gas-wise, right? Bad joke, sorry. Let me crank it up and see what we got. If it runs at all. That's better, but this thing seems like it is running way too fast at higher RPM. So I don't know if the, I need to see what's going on with this governor here. I might look at the other mower that I have and see how that looks. And I might look at the other mower and see how that looks in terms of the governor setup, and see if I need to bend that out some or what. 'Cause like I said, that thing right there seems like it is roaring. Bend it back in some? I'm not sure, but I'll give it a look, because it seems like it's running okay at idle. It doesn't want to pick up from low RPM, so it may just have a little bit of clogged in the top jets, which is an easy fix before I even put the cover back on. We'll see. I'm going to do a little bit more investigating, but at least it's not running rich anymore, so that's good. Alright guys, I think I got it. Governor wise, I had to bend. Where is that thing? Let me put some throttle to it, show you where what I had to do. I mostly had to bend this spring in right here. It's on a little arm where my finger is, and I had to bend that arm in because that spring was too tight and it was causing the governor to really not work right and pretty much race out of control. I think I've got it now. I hope the battery's got enough juice. I don't know if the battery's charging. I'll have to grab a multimeter, but we'll see. Let's see what we got. No black smoke. That's much better. I don't think it's charging the battery though. Kind of stinks. Yeah, it's not charging the battery, whatever it's doing. I have to look out the wiring situation here. Looks like somebody is, I don't know what somebody's done to this thing. Oh, I see. It's a little positive wire going out of the ignition coil here. And I want to check this other one to see how it is, if it's got a coil to it, a module, so to speak, and we'll see. So that one's just got the 2 wires going out of it, as opposed to the little module. But I think I've got another one on another V-twin. I might swap it out to see if the little module has gone out on it, and if it'll charge, or if the actual coil has gone out. So I've got to figure that out. I'll get to that at another time, but we at least got it running like it it needs to RPM wise, which is good. And so we'll go ahead and kind of finish working with that, and we'll figure out the whole charging situation next. Worst case, I've got to take this off and put put that coil on it that doesn't have the little ignition module, but we'll get to that. Alright y'all, I guess I've added to the hack job for wiring. I checked for continuity and all that, and it looks like I have continuity to the battery from everything that's going to be charging when it comes to the voltage regulator. So I have another voltage regulator that came off of the V-twin I have put on here. What I had to do is this had a 2-wire setup going into the voltage regulator, and I had to merge it down to one. Lord knows if that's, you know, what the way it's supposed to be, but hey. Worst case is I'm going to try this and it doesn't work, and I've got one that has a diode on it, and I'm just going to replace it. I'm not really burning a lot of cash here if I do mess this up. So let me turn the switch on, make sure nothing's going to fry. Alright, nothing's fried yet. Let's see if I can get it started. Nope. Alright, let me get some juice to it. Let me get it charging for a minute, and I'll come back and see what we got. Alright y'all, here's try number 2. Let's see what we can manage. Need to give it a little bit more time. I had it just a second ago, but it needed a little bit more juice. So, well, while I'm waiting for it, as long as I can get this battery to charge, we'll be good. And then I just need to figure out the whole deck belt or deck discharge sheet situation, and we'll be okay. So that'll be all right. Obviously, we need to do an oil change and stuff like that on it. Let's see if we got enough power to turn it. I don't think it's doing anything. It's like at 12.41. It probably won't crank back. Yeah. So I got to figure out why it's not charging. The actual coil itself could be bad and not the voltage regulator. That's unfortunate. I will have to get some... What will I have to get in order to make this work? Nothing crazy. I just need to get like a couple of wire extenders, because that's merged into one, and that's supposed to go the way that it is. So, oh well, that kind of explains why it didn't want to go. Oh well, I got to figure out the size of this nut here actually because I got to go buy one, because I don't have I've never had to take a flywheel off of a V-twin before. So, son of a gun. That's too bad. Whatever it is, it's not charging the battery. This thing's in a whole mishmash of wires too, which I hate, because, let me see, I need to do a little bit more testing, and then I'll know for sure if I have a bad voltage regulators, or just simply a bad connection to the battery to charge it. Not quite sure yet. I don't know how well y'all can see that, but I got it charging up to 13.23 volts, and it seems like it's charging. I put the original regulator back in it just to see what would happen, and then I got rid of all the connectors that were a part of it just to see if that would make any difference, and it seems like it did. One other one I might want to try and get rid of is this connector right here, because sometimes this connector will cause things to go south as well. I want to make sure that all the connections are good on this thing, so we're going to try it out and see, but that's what we got so far. Thank y'all for all the help on Instagram too, chasing this. It ended up being something relatively small, it looks like, which is very nice. The AC tested out 30 volts and it coming from the coil, so that was good too. So let me work on this a little bit more and see if I can get it to where it'll work a little bit better, and then we will more consistently, because it seems like it's still a little bit all over the place, and I don't really like the way that it's close to this engine block, so with the wiring harness. So let me work on that a little bit, maybe extend the wires a little bit, and see what we can manage there. All right, y'all, we're making decent progress. I found a discharge chute. It's actually one I had. It is not in the best condition, but it is a discharge chute. This is a 42-inch discharge chute for one of them square MTD 42-inch decks, and this one, as you can see, is kind of fits. It's just got a little gap in the front, but that's about it. Everything else looks alright on it. Like I said, the battery's charging. This ain't gonna be the nicest zero turn in the world, but it's gonna work, which is good. I'm about to cut my yard with it. I'm gonna give it an oil change and just make sure that everything is going to operate like it should. I think we'll be okay. I had to sharpen the blades on it too, I think. Yeah, I don't need a blade sharpening, but I think I just want to go out there and cut with it real quick first, just to make sure that we're good. I am going to give it an oil change. That oil is pretty dark. Pretty old and pretty dark, actually. So we know the engine's good, so change the oil in it. Do all that stuff. I'll cut the grass and I'll put the engine cover back on, and we'll be good, hopefully. Pretty close here, guys, so I'm kind of excited. Get the second zero turn done here. Alright, y'all, I took it out. I was gonna go cut the grass with it or change the oil and all that. Got the engine cover and stuff back on, but went down here. I tried to engage the blades. I'm like, what the heck is happening? Because there was nothing happening. Y'all, I think y'all were around whenever I had it running and working right. Let me grab a blanket so I don't dirty myself up too bad. But I didn't go under the mower. I don't know what compelled anybody to change the wiring and stuff on this thing, but excuse me, I'm sorry. So I got under the mower, and I'll show you everything's wrong. I already fixed it so I can pull it back in the garage. But this belt, or this pulley, was about to fall off the shaft. The PTO clutch was so far down the shaft that, golly, I don't think I'm supposed to do that either, is it? Maybe it is supposed to play that much, I'm not sure. That's interesting. Because it drags the wires around too, unless they're... So the wires themselves were wrapped around the actual PTO clutch like a long ways. So I don't know. There's supposed to be like a locking pin on this thing, ain't it? And not... I don't know. So I got that much play going on in the PTO clutch. I'll make sure that these wires are not wrapped around and just need a pigtail. That might be exciting to try and get that to where it doesn't move very far. Interesting. This is very interesting. It's like it's supposed to be in a pin, and I don't know where the pin is, unless it's over here on the other side somewhere, and it came off the pin. Oh, I might have to jack this up and see what's going on with it, because whatever's going on is not good, because it ripped these wires off. It ripped these wires off. Obviously, it's not the way that it originally was supposed to be, so I gotta cut this mess off anyways and make it look a lot cleaner. Get some little wire extenders or whatever and just kind of sit them up here. Figure out why this PTO is moving that far. I think I see the pin over there, but I'm not sure. Let me do a little bit more research to figure out what's going on down here, and we'll see what we end up with. All right, y'all. I hope this is the last of the mess that I've got to do to this thing when it comes to fixing the wiring. But I extended the wires. I can't show y'all very well because of the... Well, I'll get you up there. I don't know how well y'all can see that. I extended the wires, wrapped it up nicely with electrical tape, and kind of spliced them and gave it room for the PTO clutch to go back and forth, because it shouldn't wrap itself around going like that. And from what I can tell, I don't see any sort of shear pin. I just see a plate up back there that the PTO rests on. So I guess that's designed to do that. I'm not sure 100%. I'm just guessing. But like I said, hopefully I got this back together. I am going to disengage the transmissions and get it out here and see if I can get the PTO to work again. That's obviously what the issue was just a minute ago. Because I guess that bolt right there was too loose, and so I don't see where it vibrated itself off, because it goes up there nice and tight. It's not stripped in the threads or anything, so I guess it just wiggled its way loose over time. This thing right here has turned into like a, not a mystery, but turned into something a little bit more than I thought it was going to be, unfortunately. So let me crank it up and get out here first. equalizer's a little off. I know y'all couldn't hear that or couldn't see that, but y'all can hear that it's running. It's doing a little dance now. But the good news is it looks like I got it. So and the thing tracks straight too. Drive belt's a little worn, but runs fine otherwise. Seat safety switch works. I am going to plug that back in because that's a safety issue. Yeah, seat safety switch works. I am going to plug that back in because that is a safety issue for it to not be plugged in. And I do my best, especially on mowers of this caliber, to make sure that they're all going to work right. All right, let's take a quick gander down here at the wires. Looks like they're holding up just fine. They're doing exactly what I need it to. So I'm going to change the oil in it. I'm going to cut the grass. And if that passes everything, I'm going to give it a nice wash. I may not wash too much around the engine just because of all the way that the wires and stuff are. Make it look pretty, and hopefully be ready to get rid of this thing. Sharpen the blades as well. So we got a little bit of work left to do, but I'm hoping I can get it knocked out before the end of the day. Fingers crossed. Alright, y'all, I'm changing the oil here, and nothing crazy. It is a little burnt because y'all heard in the beginning this thing was revving its ears off. So it doesn't surprise me that the oil's a little burnt in this thing. It looks like it hasn't been changed in a while. The oil filter kind of resembles it, but the guy's taking the trick about what I do using an automotive oil filter, the ST3614. So as you can tell, this thing's been running for probably many hours on that oil filter, and it's still running fine. So if there's any doubt about using lawnmower oil filters or automotive oil filters, it looked like this one did all right. And as you can see, pretty dirty in there. So I didn't want to run it anymore until I changed the oil in it. So got this thing going. It's a slow drizzle. And give it a couple more minutes, and then I'll put the 2 quarts in it that it needs. I don't know if I showed you, I'll put the new fuel line on it as well back here in the back, so I might have to shorten it a little bit, but it's fine as it is. It's running fine. Just need to make sure it doesn't vapor lock or anything with it being right there over the muffler. But like I said, the PTO is working fine still. I'm going to cut the grass with it and see how it does. I put a little bit of Stay-Bil because it does surge a little bit when you first crank it up, but after you run it for about a minute, everything smooths out. So I'm pretty satisfied with that carburetor, considering I didn't even get into it, and hopefully that small engine pro will clean it out a little bit more. And like I said, the seat safety's back on. From what I can tell, guys, all of the safeties are working like they should. Even though this is a wiring mess, a complete wiring mess, we're still doing good with it. So let me let it drain. I'll cut it. We'll give it a wash. If it does good, I'll wash it, sharpen the blades, and we will be done with this one, ready to go to its new owner. This one should sell pretty quick. I have to figure out what it's worth. I think it's about a $1,200 mower as it sits. I'd take $1,000 for it, honestly, because that's about what I have in the whole lot. But again, sell one, and then this one right here sitting pretty. It's like I got a free 2185 HDS Cub Cadet. So then I might get some trades on this, but we'll see what ends up happening with it. All right, oil's almost drained. Let me not crank it up. Let me put some oil in it, oil filter, and see what we got. All right, y'all, here's the finished product of this thing. I tried to clean the carb out a little bit. It didn't. It seemed like it didn't work. What it's doing, I think I may not have the governor still 100% right, but what it does is it does surge for about the first 2 to 3 minutes that it runs, and then it resolves itself, and it'll run smooth the entire rest of the time. So I don't think it's worth me trying to tear apart a carburetor just to figure out something as minute as that. So I'll give you a walk around here. I did the oil change. I cut my yard. It did just fine. Sharpened the blades on it, and seems to be good to go. Like I said, all the air's in the tires and everything that needs to be done has been done to it. A lot of it had been done. I just had to figure out the governor issues and stuff. I think these tires on the back here are fairly new. They look like they're pretty new. And it looks like the front tires are too. So that's a plus. The deck, I'm not completely sure. Somebody who may know more than me about these things could maybe tell me if this is the original. If this is it's a 50-inch deck, but is it even a MTD deck? I've never seen a deck like this. Again, I put this discharge chute on. It's a 42-inch MTD discharge chute. I was able to tap some holes and bolt it in, and it works just fine. It didn't blow up any grass up on me or anything, but this deck right here with the high lift blades just does not really tear up the grass very much, you know, like provide a lot of lift for some reason. I find this common amongst a bunch of Cub Cadets and Troy built and MTD made zero turns, especially the consumer grades that have the stamped deck and not the welded deck. So that's kind of interesting to note. Again, engine cover and everything is back on it. As far as I know, it's charging the battery good enough for me. It will crank it, and I checked it before I started it today. It's at 12.6 volts. So, and it was at like under 12.5 the last time I ran it while it was running. So, and I've run the PTO and stuff, so it's not running the battery out or anything like that. So I think that's good enough now. I don't know if it's 100%, but it's good enough to keep the battery charged. And it may be one of them voltage regulators that reads the voltage and charges only when necessary to save energy. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, especially on charging systems on mowers like this. But that's a guess, I guess. Again, the wheels turned out nice. The deck, you can tell, like I said, probably came from a Troy built because it was red originally and somebody painted it black. But it fits like it should. It cuts like it should. It's even. So, hey, it works, right? PTO works again. I haven't had any issues after I did the wiring on it. So I tell you what, we'll crank it up and give a nice little ride down the driveway and wrap this thing up for my second zero turn mower that I fixed. So that's kind of cool, right? You can kind of hear it surge a little bit when you start, but that's about the RPM it needs to be. And it idles down really well too. So that's good. Then you turn the blades on. Surge just a little bit right there. It'll smooth out. There you go. All right, park brake. Pull these back in, and then we just glide along. This one will cut in reverse too, which is nice. And here's where it cut my yard the other day. Hands to drive one of these things. that's it. I don't know what the deal is with the hour meter, but so that's it for this. I think I'm gonna call it good, call it done. I mean, there's really no drama associated with this thing. It was just trying to figure out how to get the get everything adjusted on it like it needed to be, and seemed like we were able to do it pretty well, you know. So for I guess for an older zero turn, this thing's still doing pretty good. I have no clue how many hours are on it, and I'm pretty happy and somewhat surprised that with the way that the governor was on it when I got it, that the engine hadn't blown up on him. It just had some burn oil and stuff. It's not pushing in, thing's not pushing any smoke out or anything like that, so I'm happy with that too. Especially because of the amount of money that I got into it and the trade deal that I gave him. I was decently generous on the trade for him. But I have this, and then I have a shaft-driven Cub Cadet riding, or lawn tractor, whatever you want to call it, out of the deal. So once I sell this, I've pretty much paid for the entire lot, and plus I've got some money on top of it. So I think I have a trade deal maybe in the works. I'm going to send some pictures to him and see how he likes it, if he'd be interested. I think it would be a good cheap zero turn for somebody. I think it's going to be about I don't know. I sold the other one I had the other one listed for $1,500 and had no issues with it. This one is of similar status, but a little bit older. However, the frame's a little bit nicer. So I don't know if this will be like a $1,300 zero turn or maybe like a $1,250. I think that's what I'm going to start it out as, and probably take either $1,000 or $1,100 for it. Or if I get a trade, then that's even better. So I appreciate y'all watching as always. I got my website now, ellismowers.com. Email's on there. You can also follow me right here on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll just keep cranking out whatever comes in the garage. I go from zero turns to 2 0 turns in a matter of a month, and I might be having 3 if all is said and done. Just stay tuned to the channel and see what we get to. I appreciate y'all watching as always, and I'll catch you then.